right, folks, this is Henry Bratley. It's now 3:30. It's time to restart, and I'm going to pass the baton over to our distinguished Public Relations Officer and Webmaster, and I leave it in your hands.
All right, thank you, Henry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. This presentation that we're going to have when protecting your identity and your money came about had its genesis in a number of the increasing number of emails that came to members of the association and members of the board from someone who had hacked an email address account and was sending requests for cash cards or for money to support various things. You want to go to the next chart for me, Peter? We're probably considered targets because, I mean, no, back one. We're considered to be a good target, I think, because of our age and our expected financial status. Our age, because we're probably novice in terms of some of the things that we do on social media and when we're online. This presentation is intended simply to provide helpful hints for you as you use the internet and you try to navigate into this in this world that we live in today. As a bottom line point, though, North Carolina NARFE will never ask you to purchase gift cards or any similar funding vehicle that transfers monies from you for any project, period. If it's not for NARFE PAC or if it's not for Alzheimer's, then you're probably not you should not expect to hear from anyone on the board to be providing money. This presentation and a handbook on fraud prevention that Peter has created are going to be available long term on our website for you to be able to use to refer back to. Next chart, here we go. False steps in any of these areas could very well result in something as unfortunate as what happened to an extended member of my family when she, who is not comfortable and not used to using a computer, ended up providing a card, a bank account number, and a credit card number, which resulted in maxing out a credit card, emptying of a bank account, and the loss of the gift card that she had purchased. Always be on the alert if you get an unsolicited telephone call. These are normally coming through, if you have caller ID, as a call that's an unknown caller. So unknown callers present problems. Unusual or expected strange emails or letters that come to you when you're on social media. That's the reason that Peter and I both asked the question about the new account or the new service that we're having with NARFE in our membership activity. Protect your credit cards and your bank accounts, credit history when you're using a computer. Guard your Social Security number, your retirement account information, your credit card numbers, your security codes, and bank account information like your money depends on it, because it really does. Next chart, please. Unsolicited telephone calls. Anyone who asks you for money and says that you've won something on the call, if you get a note about an expired automobile warranty, you probably don't have one. It's probably best just not to answer calls from an unknown caller. If it comes up that it says it's an unknown caller, let it go to voicemail. If it's important, they'll leave you a voice message and you can call them back. Don't try to outsmart the person that's calling, because they've been trained in doing this and you and I aren't, and we want to get off the phone as quickly as possible and then go to your telephone and block that caller's telephone number as quickly as possible. If someone tells you that you're going to be arrested or that the IRS is coming after you on the phone, don't believe it, because it's not going to happen. IRS, Social Security, state agencies, banks, credit card companies will not call you on the telephone about a problem. They're going to send you a letter to let you know that there's something going on. Now, this thing about not answering yes to any question, when someone asks me if this is Dwight Weaver and I say this is he, or who's calling, is my typical response, because I don't want my voice recorded saying yes to anything, because I don't know how that yes is going to be used down the road. So don't answer yes to any question that someone might ask you on the phone unless you know who it is or unless you're the one who placed the call. And then you register that call with the do not call, register yourself with the do not call registry, which will then eliminate or supposed to eliminate some of those calls that unwanted telephone calls that you get. All right, next chart, please. Don't respond to an email that asks you for money or says you won something again, even if it appears to be someone that you know. I mean, they're sneaky, they steal addresses and then they make those addresses look like it's someone you know. Henry Bradley's address, when you click on the address, when you get one of those crazy emails, does not show henry.bradley@bradley.com. It shows something else, usually a Gmail account. Most scammers, as I said, do not use the correct reply email address. If there's a link in that email, don't click on it, because the click on it may very well load something dangerous on your computer. When you get one of these things, it's sometimes easy to figure out if you pay close attention to the grammar, because it's sometimes not written by a native English speaker, and that's a dead giveaway. If there's a number that's in the call that's asking you to call, or there's an email in the call, look up the customer service telephone number online for that group, and then call that number that's on the internet for what is a legitimate site to verify the legitimacy of the letter or the email that you got, even if it was from Social Security or IRS telling you that there is something going on. You can call them back on a number that you can look up on the internet, as opposed to using something that's in the letter. And then there's forward that email, if it's an email, to the email address that's listed here on this chart, and then block that scammer's email address and delete the email so it doesn't remain in your inbox. Okay, next one. Social media. I think maybe some of us are probably more active in social media than we would have thought we would have been at our age. So anytime you're on social media, always be careful in terms of what you're saying. If there's anything that you're going to disclose about yourself, be sure it's something that you're comfortable with everyone on the internet being able to see, because that could very well be the case. Try to limit your view of information to only your friends. Two-factor authentication, I hope you're familiar with and using, because it says that if I try to log on to one of my bank accounts, or I try to log on to a savings account, that account holder is going to send me a 5 or 6 digit code to my telephone number, text it to my telephone, that I then use that to authenticate that I am who I say that I am. There's also the ability on most of the social media to be able to monitor various logons from your account and through your account, and then you should be performing routine security checkups whenever you're online, whenever you're using that account. Now, these are tools that are provided by the social media host, and they're not something that you have to create on your own. So just use the available tools to keep up with that. Next chart, please.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Peter?
Well, I just I got distracted here for a second. Sorry. Right.
All right. Credit cards and banking. Set transaction dollar limits on your bank and credit card accounts, so that there's any charge that's above that amount, that you're going to get an email or a text to tell you that the charge has been made. I have it set up so that when checks clear, I get a text notice that says that there's a check, or that there's an amount that's cleared. When you're traveling, my credit card company will come back and ask me if I'm traveling, if I've forgotten to tell them, because if there are charges that come from outside your geographic area, you would certainly want to know about it. So just develop the habit of, when you're away from home, your home area, tell the credit card company that you're traveling, so that they know that you're there. Or if there are unusual charges that are coming from outside that area, then they won't feel bad about calling and letting you know. Again, two-factor authentication with your credit cards and your banking. When you get a credit card, don't endorse it. I mean, most of us, I think, now ask for photo ID as opposed to writing or putting our signature on the back of a credit card. And it's interesting whenever you go into a store at the number of times when you give them your credit card that now people are starting to be trained when you say ask for photo ID that they actually ask for your ID. Okay, next one. Credit reports. We got 3 primary credit reporting agencies. You've got Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Be sure that, I would suggest that you check with your bank or your credit card company to see if they have membership or use of one of these services at a reduced rate or that's free, along with you having an account or paying your annual subscription rate if you have one for your credit cards that you use. But use it. Lock your credit files whenever you don't have a reason to have them unlocked, because if you need to unlock them to give a credit report to someone, or if you're making a home loan or you're going to refinance, you're going to do any of those things, you'll need to have it unlocked, but then turn around and lock it. And if you do, in fact, have someone who queries your account and that account is locked, then you'll receive a note from the credit card company that someone's trying to use your account. Monitor your credit files frequently, because an early detection of a problem can save you money in the long run. I think most of us have been around since the OPM data breach that occurred in 2014, 2015. There were a lot of lessons that came out about monitoring your credit and safeguarding your personal information that was made available during that fiasco. So remember those and apply them continually as you're working with your credit, with your bank, with your credit cards. Okay, next chart. Your home computer is a source of both pleasure and being able to do business, but it's also probably one of the most dangerous things that you can have in terms of protecting yourself. Buy and install a robust computer security system that provides virus checking on a continual basis, file scanning for anything that's coming in and out, and gives you the ability to establish a virtual private network. And then there's one that I have that also goes in and looks at monitoring to tell me when something might need to be fixed or needs to be checked. But the virtual private network is one that really shields you from anyone being able to intrude. My virtual private network makes people who are looking at me think that I'm either in Washington, D.C. or in Atlanta, Georgia, when I live in Chapel Hill, and now I live in Apex. Purchase and use an external hard drive to back up your data, and then back it up routinely so that you have that information if you need it. If you need to have your computer worked on, use only someone that you know or have used before, or a reputable company to do work on your home computer, because if you don't do that, it's very likely that you might have someone who has the potential for leaving something behind, and they will mine your computer for anything that they've gotten. Learn the warning signs of an attempted fraud when you're online. If pop-up says that your computer is infected, to click here for help, don't click, because it doesn't make sense, and that's not going to happen unless it's your own security system that is in fact saying that there's a problem going on. But don't click and go to any don't click on that and go to any website that you're not familiar with, and don't believe just because it says it's Microsoft.com that it is Microsoft.com. There's something probably behind that masks what the real site is. Next chart. I started with one thought and ended up with two, and it may be or three or four. One at the top is kind of funny, but protect your vehicle if your vehicle has a remote start capability. Shield your key fob from electronic eavesdropping, because someone can steal your electronic signature and then steal your car. That happens quite frequently. Bill, we read some stuff about that going on in Northern Virginia, in your neck of the woods, not too long ago. Same thing with your credit cards. Have a protective shield in your wallet that you carry your credit cards in, so that someone can't remotely read the electronic signature on your credit cards and steal that and use report fraudulent phone calls and emails to the Federal Trade Commission. There's a link here that you can do that. Be aware of your bank and credit card company's policies on fraud and what you can do if something happens and what you should do if in fact you do have a problem. Monitor the receipt of your credit card and your bank statements if you have paper copies that come. I don't have paper copies for those anymore. They're all electronic. But if they come to you in paper, make sure that you get them on the schedule that you think you ought to be getting them. Shred and destroy documents with personal data. Can't say anything. I used to have 2 shredders. Now we're down to 1, but that shredder gets used quite frequently on things that I have no intent to put into the trash when the trash is collected. I can't say anything more than just remember that the real Henry Bradley will never ask you to purchase gift cards or any similar funding vehicle that transfers money from you to NARFE for any project. This concludes the portion of what I've got to say. If you've got questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them, or maybe Peter wants to help me answer them as well.
This complements Dwight's presentation. We created a booklet, 41 pages, for use in protecting your identity and money, and we go through a lot of the things that Dwight has outlined here and in detail with examples. And we're going to be putting that online here fairly soon.
Henry, that does it for us, I think, Peter, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
This particular book is not posted yet on the ncnarfe.org site, but it will be shortly.
I see a hand raised from Deborah Domack.
Go for it.
Let's see. Let me click.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. This is Deborah Germack. I'm president of the Piedmont Triad chapter here. This is something we discuss at our every monthly meeting. It's very important, especially because of the 2 items that you mentioned, age and financial status. Something we discuss all the time. One thing I would like to add is be careful of your COVID passport. Do not post that anywhere. It has your birth date on it, the last 4 digits of your social security number. Be very careful of that card. Also, do not laminate it, because in the future, you might have to get a booster shot, and you might have to have that added to the passport. Make a copy of it and laminate it and put it someplace safe. But don't destroy or touch the original passport. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Deborah.
you. That's a very good point, Deborah. When you mentioned that, there's one thing that I saw on the internet this morning, and it was just a friend of mine posted it, and there were 4 items that these silly internet games that you play of what's your name, if you had a you know your porn name and things like that. Year of birth, date of birth, your place of birth, your mother's name, any of those things. If there's something that sounds familiar about those are things that are also used in security questions. So putting that stuff on the internet and playing those games should be a no-no. I mean, it's fun to do, it may be, but still, it's still personal information that you don't want to share with anyone.
Carolyn Bronson, do you have a question?
Yes, I had a question. You're talking about locking your credit files. How do I go about locking my credit files?
Well, do you have an account with one of the credit reporting companies?
How do you mean? I've gotten my report. I've gotten a report from one of them.
Well, you're eligible to get free credit reports on an annual basis, as I understand. But if you check with your credit card company and your bank, they may very well have some way that you can subscribe to an account with Experian, with Equifax, or with TransUnion. And when you have that account, you can go on, and one of the options that they give you is to lock your credit file so that no one can use your credit file. And if someone comes in with a request for information, they're not going to provide it without contacting you first to let you know that there's a request for information or that someone's applying for credit in your name.
Okay, thank
We
you.
discussed that on page 20, and you can see it on the screen here. What are credit reports and how to go about doing it? And we provide links to these services.
Okay, thank you.
And more on the credit reports. Even if you don't think you have a file, you do. Okay, each of the 3 companies that have already been mentioned has a file on you, and you do want to see it once a year at least. My understanding now is with whatever COVID laws have passed, you can get them weekly or monthly with at no charge. Do not go to freecreditreport.com. It's not the right website. Unfortunately, the government didn't use that name. They used annual credit report. Okay, so do not go to free credit report. You will not get. You may get something for free, but you're going to get bit in the behind. Yes, you want when you go to free. You want to freeze your accounts is what you want to do. They're going to give you a code. Do not lose that code. It might take you a month if you lose that code. Okay. Do not lose that code. Freeze it. Okay. Yeah, that's a good slide. Okay.
Yeah, this is on page 20 of the handbook that Peter's assembled. And to Vic's comments, if the freecreditreport.com is going to ask you for your social security number, and that's the no-no. That's what you don't want to do. You may have to use it for, you'll have to use it for one of these, but if you go specifically to these sites, then you know who you're reaching out to, as opposed to some unknown person or entity.
Dwight, this is Robert Allen.
Yes, sir.
After the OPM breach, OPM offered free to all feds a chance to sign up with My ID Care to which monitors your credit and any transactions, anybody who's trying to get into your personal data. And I signed up for it. I think you can go to OPM if you haven't already and look on their website, and it allows you to do that. But I've been using them since when they first offered it back in 2016. And in fact, almost every month I always get something from them saying so-and-so has done such, tried to do such and such. So it's very up to date and current, and it's free, and I think it's for life. At least it was when they initially offered it.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
All right, we're beyond time. We're already into the time for voting process, and so we're going to have to leave this. If there are more questions, they can address them directly to Peter Eckhoff or to Dwight Weaver, and we will try to address them in a different format.